Welcome back to Secret Pocketbook. My name is Emily and I'm on the events team at the Ann Arbor District Library. If you want to learn how to get started with this project, I'll link to the other videos in this series in the description below. So the two projects we're going to be doing today are very well known in the world of zines. And they don't necessarily have really official names, but they are really widely used by a lot of different writers and artists. So the first is what you might call a slit book, or just an 8-page zine. And what you have is this tiny little 8-page book that is made from a single sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper. Our other project is what I call a puzzle book or a puzzle fold. And it is a 3-inch square folded form that's actually made out of a 9 by 12 inch sheet of paper. And you can open up the pages like a book, but what's really interesting is that you've got a lot of different pages to work with. So it's easy to make, but when you fold it up, it can get really puzzly really fast.
To make the slit book and the puzzle fold, you're going to need a surface to cut on, a ruler with a metal edge, a craft or utility knife, a pencil to mark your measurements, and a bone folder. For this project, we're going to be cutting down a lot of sheets of paper to size, so I want to show you how I do it. First, I turn it onto its non-decorative side if it has one, and then with either my ruler or using my cutting mat as a guide, I make marks where I know I'm going to want to cut my paper. I usually make these marks with a mechanical pencil near the edges of the paper. I like using mechanical pencils because they leave a more accurate mark that can be erased away. This pencil here actually looks like a regular old wooden pencil, but it is a secret mechanical pencil. Once I've made my marks, then I grab my T-square and I brace it up against the edge of my table or my cutting mat, and I use it to make sure that I'm making nice straight lines along my paper so that the corner of my paper is in square, and then I draw a long pencil mark along it. Once I've made my marks on my paper, then I take my utility knife, you could also use a craft knife here, and I use my ruler with my metal edge, and I make cuts where I need to, using those pencil lines as a guide. And I cut towards myself, which probably isn't the safest thing in the world, so you're probably smarter than me and you will know to cut away from yourself, but that's how I do it. And that's really all there is to it. If you have a particular side of the sheet of paper you would like to display, make sure that it's facing outward and just start by folding your sheet of paper in half. Then open it up and turn it on its side and fold it in half again. Now turn it over and take one end, and you see we've got this central crease across the paper horizontally, and just take the end of your paper and line it right up with that crease, and then fold it down. And then you're going to do the exact same thing with the other end of the paper. So next you're going to want to make a cut or a slit, and you can use scissors for this. I prefer to use a knife. And you're going to want to make it along a fold line. So fold your paper in half backwards and cut along the central crease just up to the first fold line that crosses it. And just make sure that you're cutting through both layers of the paper. So now you can see that I have a slit in the center of my paper, and sometimes you have to kind of work with it to get it to open, but you should be able to press the edges of the paper together and it will open up, and you just keep pressing and then fold them over like a book. And there it is. It just takes a few seconds to make. And this is probably never going to lie 100% flat just because of the way the paper is folded, but you can crease it down more with your bone folder or even put it under something heavy just to get it to lie flat a little more. First thing we're going to do is make 4 small marks with our pencil near the end of the short edge of both sides of your paper. And you want to make those marks 3 inches from either edge of the paper. And so you can see what they look like here, and we'll be using them as a folding guide later. So then we take our piece of paper and fold it over in half. And just like we did with the slit book, we're going to use our central crease as a guide, and we're going to fold one edge of the paper to line up with it. And then turn the sheet of paper around and do the same thing on the other side using that central crease as a guide. So now turn your paper so that the long edge of the sheet is facing you. And so you want to take the edge of your paper and you want to line it up with the 2 pencil marks that are the furthest away from you. And just taking your time to make sure that you get them lined up nice and straight, and then crease them down. So when you open back up, you should see that the crease that you just made should line up with your other 2 pencil marks. And so take your other edge of your paper and line it up with that crease. So now we've folded our sheet of paper into 12 3-inch squares. So now we're going to cut. So we have these 3 horizontal fold lines going across our sheet of paper. And so we're going to cut along 2 of the squares along the first of those fold lines. Then turn your paper around so the other side is facing you, and make a cut along 2 of the squares at the center of the paper. And then turn the paper back around and make your last cut between 2 of the squares on the last horizontal fold. All right, and now we are ready to start folding. So basically you're going to take each square and fold it up with the other squares. And you'll just want to follow the flow of this, and the guideline here is that you might have to fold some forward and some backward, but the guideline is that you want to make sure that the stack of folded paper is not getting folded under a square, that you're always folding the sheets of paper against a flat edge. Again, so you see if you've got a stack of papers that you're trying to fold against an edge, it's just not going to work. They're just going to bunch up and create an uneven fold. And that's it.